Hey everyone, this will be my first of 6 videos covering each subset of ZBLL. So far, I've learned all the algs, so right now I'm just working on getting the recognition down. And so yeah, I'd like to share my algs with you. Hopefully you find them rather entertaining and or useful. And I won't be uploading each of these videos consecutively. I think it'd be kind of boring to get the same kind of content over and over again. And so I'll be uploading like different types of videos in between these videos. And I'll probably be spreading them out across the span of, 1 or 2 months. And so hopefully that's okay. And without further ado, let's just get started. So the subset that I'll be going over today is the what I guess people would call the 2GLL set. Essentially, it's ignoring the edges. It's just the set where you have this OLL, and these two are the same, and these two are the same. And so if that criteria is true, then one of the algs that I'll be showing today will be applicable. So this is the first case. Essentially, the way I'd recognize it is you have this sort of bar here, and you also have these two are opposite, and not these two. And so the opposite stickers are kind of like on the right side to the bar. You could also think of it as this U perm. You can kind of see how there's a resemblance here. Yeah, essentially, if you have this sort of UB perm here, this is the alg you do. And so, breaking that down, essentially, you split up the pair, set it up like so, and then just solve it. And faster, the alg would look like this. So this next case is essentially the mirror of the last case, but the alg I use isn't the mirror. Essentially, once again, you have this bar, except instead of the opposite stickers being on the right, you have them on the left. You could also just think of it as this sort of UA perm. Once again, there's this sort of resemblance here. And so the alg that I would use is I start with the U prime, and so you do soon, U prime, and then anti-soon. And so a bit faster, it will look like this. So this is the next case. Instead of the bar being here, you have sort of a mini bar right here. You also have headlights here, and this sticker isn't opposite to the headlights. And so that sounds a little complicated. You could think of it in like 2 other ways. One way is just sort of like a U perm from this angle. But the way I'd like to think of it is essentially just like an RB perm, right? It looks pretty much like an R perm. And so the way what I do here is I do a U prime, and this is my alg. And so breaking this down, essentially you take out the pair, and then you have an inverse sexy here. And then here, it's like a winter variation case. Another way to think of it is you do a U, take out this pair, insert this one, and insert the last one right here. And so faster, it would look like this. This next case is the mirror of the last one. So instead of, so there's sort of this mini bar again, but instead of it being on the right, instead of it being on the left, it's on the right, sorry. And once again, you have these headlights, and this color right here isn't opposite to the headlights. And so once again, that does sound a little complicated, but you could think of it as this UB perm from this angle, or the way I like to think of it, an RA perm like this. And so essentially what you do is you do a U prime, and then this is the alg, sorry. And so breaking this down, once again, you take out this pair, sort of like a back inverse sexy here. Then you would do a U prime, take out this pair, and then insert the last two like so. And so a bit faster, it would look like this. Here's the next case. Essentially, you have another one of these mini bars, so it's on the left side. And you have these headlights, and this sticker is opposite to the headlights, unlike the last case where it wasn't opposite. You could also think of it as this kind of U perm from this angle, or almost like a T perm, but with just one bar being made, because this one isn't made, but this one is. And so hopefully that doesn't make it more complicated than it already might be, but that's what I like to think of it as. Essentially, you can just do an anti-soon, U, and then soon. And so a bit faster, it would look like this. Here's the next case. Once again, you have these sort of headlights, and this sticker is opposite to the headlights. But the difference here is that instead of the bar being on the left side, it's on the right, like so. You could think of it as sort of this U-perm, or the way I like to think of it is sort of like a T-perm, with only the right bar being made, but not the left. Hopefully that doesn't overcomplicate it. Once again, that's the way I like to think of it, so hopefully it makes sense to you too. And so yeah, what I do here is a U2, and then you do a back anti-soon, U prime, and then back soon. The way I like to execute it is sort of with the regroup at the start, and so the way I do it is more like this. Here's the next case. This one's pretty easy to recognize. You just have this sort of U-perm here, this sort of clockwise cycle. It's like a U-B perm. So there's no T-perms or R-perms here. It's just this U-perm. It looks almost identical to it. It's really easy to distinguish, I think. And so my alg here, you start with a U prime, and it goes like this. And so breaking this down, you take out the back pair, and then you sort of insert it like so, and then you do an R prime U R, kind of insert this pair, and then insert the last. So it's this one's I think is a bit harder to memorize, but if you kind of like track how the pairs are kind of being moved around, then it might become a bit easier. So yeah, and a bit faster it would look like this. Here's the next case. Once again, you have a pretty easy to recognize U-perm. This time it's a counterclockwise U-perm. It's this UA perm pattern. On like just the U-perm alone, it looks like this. So you can see the resemblance there. It's pretty easy to recognize in my opinion. And so once again, you would do a U prime. Here, it's just a mirror of the last case pretty much. And the way it would go is like this. And so breaking this out down, you take this pair out, kind of insert it into the back like so, and then R, U prime, R prime, kind of cancel into solving this pair, and then inserting the last one. And so faster, it would look like this. Here's the next case. In my opinion, it's also really easy to recognize. You literally just have this Z prim here, and the two swapped edges are sort of right here and right here. Here's what the PLL would look like alone, and so you can once again see the resemblance here. I think it's pretty easy to recognize. This is the standard COLL for most people, and so you probably already know this alg. It's just anti-soon canceling into back anti-soon. And so faster it would look like this. Here's the next case. Once again, pretty easy to recognize. You have another Z perm pattern, except instead of these two edges needing to be swapped, it's these two. Here's what it would look like, sort of as a PLL. Once again, pretty close resemblance. And so here, you can either do this alg lefty, but I like to just do sort of the back mirror here. So I do a U2, and you do a back anti-soon into anti-soon. And so faster, it would look like this. Not like that. Let's try that one more time. There we go. This next case is, once again, really easy to recognize, although the alg for it might be a bit trickier. I know personally I had a bit of trouble memorizing the alg. But yeah, so here, you essentially just have like an H perm. Here's what it would look like as a PLL. Once again, really close resemblance. And so the alg goes as follows. You start with the U2, and it goes like this. And so, breaking this down, essentially, you take out this pair, U2, you do an RUR prime, and so you have this, you sort of set up this case, and then you do a U, take out this back pair, and then just solve the last two. And so, it's really complicated, but once again, if you sort of observe and kind of track how these two pairs are sort of being manipulated, that might make it a bit easier to memorize. But yeah, once again, it might take a little bit of time. So here's the alg a little faster. So yeah. Here is the last case I'll be covering in this video. This is arguably the easiest case to recognize. The alg is also easy to memorize, but execution-wise, it might not be the fastest. I'll go over why later. So here, to recognize it, you have almost a completely solved cube, except for these sort of twisted corners here. It would look something like this. So you can sort of see that resemblance there. And so, yeah, the alg goes as follows. You do a U, and then it's just left soon, right soon. So, really easy to memorize. But the reason why it's a bit awkward to execute is just this sort of transition between LU moves and RU moves. I feel like it's a little iffy there. Here's my attempt at doing it fast. You can sort of see there's a bit of locking up there, but yeah, that's the alg. So yeah, that wraps it up for my first video of the ZBLL series. Hopefully you found this video rather entertaining and useful, and yeah, thank you for watching.